totally relaxed and settled in. Hope you'll share your screen if you haven't already. Okay, today we're going to hit 7 themes, and I'm going to give these to you. So if you're a note taker and you want to hit these in the chat, here they are. Number 1, the first thing we're going to hit is a vision for the year ahead and clarity on your increase. A vision. Number 2, alignment on clear goals and elevated thinking. It's where everything happens. Number 3, we're going to spend a lot of time on affirmations to support your vision and alignment in your elevated thinking. Number 4, we're going to focus on an environment that supports growth. What needs to change in your environment? Number 5, we're going to hit reasons we fail. Number 6, we're going to talk about a tool or tools, how to write it out and track your journey, growth, and progress. And then number 7, I'm going to leave you with some next steps. I'm not going to just leave you hanging and give you all this download of information and go, okay, see, I'm going to give you some exact specific next steps. In fact, set aside a page in your note taking to make a list of your own next steps. I may make assumptions that some of these things you've already done when in fact you need to take a preliminary action step. Okay, let's jump into number 1. A vision for the year ahead, gaining your clarity on your increase. What does that vision look like? I can't let what I'm not or what I don't have prevent me from what I could be or how I could contribute. In other words, where I stand right now need not be a predictor of my future unless I allow it to, unless I stay on autopilot, unless I compare myself to you, unless I go back to my default and drift into more of the same. There's no reason for me to stay where I am unless I do all of those things, which is why most people do not accomplish goals, because that's what most people do, but not you. A vision would be defined as a clear, inspiring, attractive picture of my future that's different from my present. That's your vision. It's defined as a clear, inspiring, attractive picture of my future that's different from my present. Something that both decreases fear and invites others to come along. When you're excited and believe in your future vision, fear will take on a different personality from fear as you've known it. Clarity of vision will open the door to embracing my preferred future, one that I've dreamt of, either mildly, a little bit, or for a long while. Clarity, it means I trade all the networks of information, confusion, and conflict. I trade them all for my one thing, to invest in my growth through attention, through nurture, and through repetition. Did you say one thing, Pam? Pam. I have a family, children, pets, a job, a side hustle, a home to take care of, bills to pay, problems to solve, 10 pounds to lose, and so on. Yeah, all that's likely true, and for me too. But to grow, I've got to take on the one thing that impacts all the other things. In my Breakthrough Academy, we spend 2 days getting to this one place. Right, guys? And everybody's like, one thing. Literally, we spend 2 days getting to this one place when we do that. All the whirling thoughts, all the things I need to fix, all the things I want to get better, all the piles I need, to one thing. The one means that until that one thing is accomplished, all of the rest of my list or my dream list or my hope for list or my to-do list is not relevant until that one thing is accomplished. The book, The One Thing by Keller and Papasan, does a marvelous job breaking this concept down. Throw it on Audible. If you haven't listened to it before, if you've read it before, throw it on Audible, listen to it again. I think you can get with it. It's a great way to do your workout and learn. You know, if you walk about 6,000 steps, you get usually about 4 chapters of any book. So just food for thought. That's a bonus. Okay, I think you can get it without Breakthrough Academy or without reading the book, because reality is, I'm telling you, it's just one thing. So for tonight, give these questions some thought. And if you have questions, throw them in the chat. Curtis is on Breakthrough Academy. Students graduates are on it, and they can give you great insight into this. Okay, so you may be asking, Pam, how do I find my one thing? I'm going to give you a list. Number 1, what do you want more than any other thing? What one thing do you want more than any other thing? What would attaining or achieving that mean to you? How would you feel if this doesn't ever happen or manifest? Who and what would be impacted? Who and what would be impacted when you do achieve or attain that one thing? Look inward. What do you love to do? Look back. Where have you gotten reinforcement or positive affirmation in what you do? What is the resistance that's held you back? Now, be very careful about falsely blaming or finger pointing here. What is the real resistance that has held you back? Look into the future. Who needs this from you? Who else would be impacted when you do accomplish your one thing? What rewards would mean the most to you from achieving this one thing? And lastly, oh no, this is not lastly, the whisper. I talk about this a lot. Get it in the whisper. What have you ignored? The rocking chair test. What will your perspective be from the rocking chair? And then lastly, on a scale from 1 to 10, what kind of problem solver are you? Okay, I'm going to reread those 12 questions and I'm going to number them 1 through 12 in case you didn't get them, because I know I talk really fast and I know you can go back and look at that, but we're about halfway in. So I'm going to go ahead and ask them all over again. And maybe if one person will write one, the next person will write two, and we'll get them all in the chat and you can come back and review. Number 1, what do you want more than any other thing? Number 2, what would attaining or achieving that mean to you? Number 3, how would you feel if this doesn't ever happen or manifest, and who else would be impacted if it doesn't ever happen? Number 4, who and what would be impacted when you do achieve or attain that one thing? Number 5, look inward. What do you love to do? Number 6, look back. Where have you gotten reinforcement or positive affirmation? Number 7, what's the resistance that's held you back so far? Careful about falsely blaming. Number 8, look to the future. Who needs this from you? Who else will be impacted? Number 9, what rewards would mean the most to you? Number 10, the whisper. Talk about it a lot. Get it in the whisper. What have you ignored in the whisper? Number 11, the rocking chair test. What will your perspective be when you're old? When the doors and windows have closed, what will your perspective be from the rocking chair? And number 12, on a scale of 1 to 10, what kind of problem solver are you? Because there's a big question and a big answer in number 12. What kind of problem solver are you? How long have you had the same problem? Okay, now I'm leaving vision and we're going to move on to number 2, alignment. Alignment on clear goals and elevated thinking. Most resolutions, goals, and intentions start with how we feel about ourselves and our circumstances right now. Most goals and resolutions and intentions, they start with how we feel about ourselves and our circumstances right now. And most resolutions and goals start and stop with identification. What I'd really love to have, who I'd really love to be, what I'd love to do, accomplish, serve. It looks more like a wish list. It's a dream, and that's a great place to start. We consider what our hearts are worried about, with what convicts us, annoys us, concerns us, but that isn't goal setting. At best, that's taking an inventory, dreaming and wishing, stating it, defining it. It's great and it's important, but that alone fails every single time. That's why resolutions fail. What succeeds is the method of taking that goal clarity and putting the foundation to it. Okay, this I want you to write in red letters or bold or underline or make it loud. What habits would a person need to accomplish that goal? What key behaviors will support the development of that habit? This is where the 90-day planner is separated from other date books or books called planners. Most of those are created by people who have not built anything with the process their book supports. I'm sharing with you a method that is proven by countless others, which will also hold up for you when you persevere. Do not give up. Go the distance. Keep building a new pattern to support the new habit, to build the new goal of the person who could live in that accomplishment. The planner is my best opportunity to coach you to and through the process because of the self-guided setup. Now, I confessed on a live earlier this year. I've gone 90 days box checking a planner. I have. It's useless. At the start of a new year, we're all more highly motivated to give extra effort. So let's dive into some truths. Some of you have heard me say this so many times, but I'm going to say it again. When your what and your why are clear and in alignment, how is never the prominent question. Pam, are you saying I don't need to know how? I'm saying when your what and your why is clear and in alignment, you'll stop focusing on how. You'll be about your vision from an alignment and no longer floundering in fear and the focus on how, because you now have meaning added in because of your what and your why. How is a question for those whose vision and desire for a sacrifice or belief are low. I'm going to say that again. How do I do it? That's a question when your vision is low, or your desire is low, or your willingness to sacrifice is low, or your belief is low. People ask how questions when one of those things is going on. But when you're what, you're one thing. And your why, who's going to be impacted? What do I want from this? How will this bring me into my sweet spot? Are in alignment and clear. How is never the question. It's amazing how one day you couldn't, and the next day you're just like a bull in a china shop, because you're so ready now. You're willing to do everything wrong just to do something towards that one thing. When you can explain where you're going, what you're creating, building, sacrificing for, why you're going there, you'll develop your how, and the how will get easier as long as you keep your what and your why loud and clear. When you focus on the difficulty of the journey, the historical timeline that you've not done a certain thing, attain a wellness goal with your height and weight, advance your business growth, create wealth, build your dream home, or purchase property, or your thing that I haven't mentioned. Good goal setting takes into account the alignment of an actual outcome plus behaviors and habits that you will need to take on to support the accomplishment of that goal. Because if nothing changes in you, nothing changes in your outer world. Nothing changes in your inner world, you cannot affect change in your outer world. If nothing changes, nothing changes. And the goal isn't worth the page of paper you wrote it on. So what behavior and habits will assure goal completion? We're going to walk into affirmation and changing our patterns in a minute, but I want to acknowledge that on every daily page of the planner, it invites you to write your top 3 things for the day and your top 3 key behaviors for the day, your word or phrase for the day and for the year that's going to drive it all. And in the front setup pages, along with writing out the goals, there's a page for 2 to 3 habit creations. Most people think in terms of only breaking habits. I got to break this habit. I got to break the habit. I got to break. But in actuality, you have to create a new habit while simultaneously breaking an old habit to replace it. So in terms of building a structure, this piece of the day, that your top 3 things for the day and your top 3 behaviors for the day, you may write that same thing down day after day after day after day, your behaviors, but you could also be writing something different down. The point is that you are now engaged in the thinking of becoming, which is different from just checklist doing. So in terms of building a structure, a building or a home, there are 2 ways that you can compromise the stability of it. One is to tamper with the foundation. If the foundation is not solid or properly established, the building will ultimately crumble and you'll have problems on every level. It doesn't matter how beautiful the chandeliers are. The second way is to use compromised ingredients, cheap trees, cheap flooring, cheap shingles. This conversation on alignment of clear goals is concrete foundational to goal setting. You can have a vision, but if you don't have alignment, your what, your what and your why, this is a concrete foundation to goal setting. It's nuts and bolts. So before you start setting goals, I want to invite you to consider a much bigger picture. Vision. Contrast what has been and what is right in front of us. And if we operate our future by obsessing on our past, all we have is another predictable future that looks a whole lot like the past. My friend, dream big. What is out there? Wild and big and outrageous, and it makes you sweat and it makes other people like eye roll. What would you do if you weren't too young or too emotional or too old or too heavy or too invested or too unsupported or too alone or too busy or too? What makes your heart beat fast? What are you passionate about? What problems would you like to solve? What have you been good at from an early age? You know, my older sister is, she's almost 4 years older. She's super smart, like Mensa smart. Like she scored 34 on her ACT before there were tutors and multiple takes on the test, like, 19, whatever. Yeah. And so the word on the street was, my older sister is super smart. I'm coming behind her in school with all the same teachers. And the word on the street was that Pam is good with people. Okay, let's be clear. I graduated college with a 3.86. And I'm very smart. I taught classrooms of, as a child, of stuffed animals and Barbie dolls. I was a teacher. I took trash mail of my parents and I played office. Okay, get this. My favorite Christmas as a child that I can remember, my parents used to let us go to the JCPenney and Sears catalog, and we could decide on $50 worth, which is really a lot back then, right? We could decide on $50 worth of things, and that's what Santa Claus would bring us. My favorite. I think I was about 10 years old. I got a long blonde fall, like a wig. I got a reel-to-reel tape recorder with a microphone and it could record my voice. And I got a red vinyl maxi coat. I knew myself when I was 10. I've always loved notebooks and planners. I've always loved making lists and setting goals and writing things on note cards and creating affirmations. I've always been energized by taking someone's potential and breathing belief and life and giving mentorship and encouragement and drawing out the best of that person through guidance and recognition. I taught Sunday school when I was 16 to 13-year-olds. I tutored other people in college. I taught high school English and dance for years, and always hosted a small group of girls through church. What subjects can you talk about without losing interest? What truths and subjects have spoken the most to your life throughout your life? Take what is true to you and build on that vision to clarify your goals. It's easy to get lost through the journey of life. There is alignment and elevated thinking necessary to match the bigness of your vision for the year ahead. Okay, alignment. Moving on to number 3. I'm going to spend the majority of our time here because people ask me questions about this all the time. And this seems to be an action, a task that people are unwilling to do. And I don't understand why. So, number 3, affirmations to support the vision and the alignment. If you have a preferred future, but you don't have any experience living out there, you're going to have to do some brain work. This is one of the most sought after elements of goal setting. So if you haven't already shared to your Facebook page, I hope you'll click that share button, share it to your page, because we are getting ready to talk about affirmations. Affirmations, isn't that what you just say to somebody? They say something and you go, yes, that's right. And you affirm them, yes and no. Okay, let's jump in. For over 5 years now, I've studied Dr. Caroline Leaf, maybe a little bit longer. I know I've introduced many of you to her work. And in the past couple of years, I've become interested how the law of attraction and energy fits into biblical principles. And although there is a lot of funky that leave the one true God out of the equation, I have learned from Dr. Joe as well. This year, reminding myself of principles taught by Bob Proctor and the Napoleon Hill Foundation, Think and Grow Rich. If you're not familiar with any of that, I'm going to recommend that you go back and take a look at some of that content. All of that together, learner is one of my top 10 strengths. I think it's like number 7. I love to learn. And so I've spent a lot of time during pandemic learning, reading, podcasting, journaling, researching. The power of thoughts cannot be overstated. The power of your thoughts cannot be overstated. The power of thoughts cannot be overtaught or from too many genres of thought. From the biblical teaching to capture your thoughts, right? The biblical teaching to capture your thoughts and hold them out there. Hey, does that honor God? Is that true? Is it true or not? Capture it and look at it. You know, do a kind of an out of body, right? Multiple MPA, multiple perspective advantage from the epigenetics. So from the biblical teaching to capture your thoughts and evaluate them, to epigenetics research proving beyond doubt that you can override your DNA, to behavioral psychology guidance, the message is the same. You can choose your thoughts with attentiveness and attention to them. Choose your thoughts. If you feel like you're on a runaway train, you got to bust that party up. When we give ourselves permission to emotionally invest in untruth, our willful alliance with deception mars our God concept and the amazing capacity of how we've been designed. We cannot willfully go there. Most people think the same thoughts over and over and over. Many of them are obsessive, ruminating, and yes, negative. Dr. Daniel Amen, known for brain SPECT scans, in fact, he's done over 160,000 of them, talks about ANTS, A-N-T-S, automatic negative thoughts. Smash them. So this is directly from his training. Why are automatic negative thoughts so harmful, he says? Negative thoughts cause your brain to immediately release chemicals that affect every cell in your body, making you feel bad. The opposite is also true. Positive, happy, hopeful thoughts release chemicals that make you feel good. Your thought patterns can also have long-term side effects. Repetitive negative thinking may promote the buildup of harmful deposits seen in the brain of people with Alzheimer's disease and may increase the risk of dementia, according to a 2020 brain imaging study in Alzheimer's and dementia. Why you need to eliminate the ants. Just because you have a thought has nothing to do with whether it's true. Thoughts lie. They lie a lot. And it's your uninvestigated or unquestioned thoughts that steal your happiness. If you don't question or correct your erroneous thoughts, if you believe them and you act as if they're 100% true, you're on a runaway train. Allowing yourself to believe every thought you have is the prescription for anxiety disorders, depression, relationship problems, and prolonged grief. Y'all, this is important. I hope you hear me. I hope you hear me, and I hope you're learning, because you can learn to eliminate the ant, automatic negative thought, and replace it with more helpful thoughts that give you a more accurate, fair assessment of any situation. This skill alone can completely change your life if you embrace it and practice it. Dr. Amen writes, I am not a fan of only positive thinking. It kills way too many people. I advocate accurate, honest thinking. Some anxiety is absolutely critical to good health and success. Pie in the sky thinking and low levels of anxiety are associated with underestimating risks, a lackadaisical attitude towards your health, and making bad decisions. So we've got to land in a healthy place. It's documented that up to 98% of the thoughts you have today are the exact same ones you had yesterday. And that can easily go into rumination or obsession versus reflection. Rumination is when we obsess and repeat the same thought, usually injected with fear, worry, shame, and blame. Fear, worry, shame, and blame. Thought, fear, worry, shame, and blame. Thought, fear, worry, shame, and blame. My least favorite theme park ride is teacups. Woo, I hate the teacups. At any theme park, I love theme parks. I just hate teacups because over and over and over and around and around and around, it makes me sick spinning that way. So do thoughts that recur over and over when they're not healthy, godly, or centered on the truth. Rumination is an anxiety symptom, not a thinking process. When you go around something over and over again, it's not going into a new, better, or healthy direction. Stop it. Stop, literally stop it. Stop and say, I refuse to think that thought. Stop, I'm in control of my thoughts. Stop it and do a sincere meditation, breathing, exercise. By that, I mean, breathe in like to the count of 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Hold, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Breathe out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's one way of interrupting the pattern. Do that 3 or 4 times slowly. I'm not going to do it for you, so I'm not like, I watch people like who teach meditation, they look like they're cray cray. So I don't know. I'm sure I'm cray cray enough on here for you. I don't need to look cray crayier. But grab the thought, stop the thought, and then just take for a minute and quote a scripture. Try to get to a nothingness. Just be in the present. Feel your feet in the ground. Feel a breeze. Smell a plant. Light a candle. Do something to interrupt, right? So Dr. Amen's solution, my ant killing process, is based on the work of 2 mentors he describes, psychiatrist Aaron Beck, who pioneered school of psychotherapy called cognitive behavior therapy, CBT, which is an effective treatment for anxiety disorders, depression, relationship problems, and even obesity, and Brian Cady, a teacher and author. So that's how he combined their work and has a step-by-step on how to kill the automatic negative thoughts. So here are the steps. Ready? Whenever you feel sad, mad, nervous, or out of control, do the following. I'm going to give you some steps. Ready? How you doing? How are we doing? Okay. We're coming along. Okay, let's see. I've got some pages to go. Okay. You're good. I know you're good. Number 1, write down the automatic negative thought. Write it down. Write down the ant. The act of writing down the ant helps to get invaders out of your head. As soon as you say it, as soon as you write it, say it out loud and then write it down, you're almost like, oh my gosh, that is so stupid. That is so ridiculous. You can almost overcome it by just that one step. Step number 2, identify the ant species. There are 9 types of ants. Ready? There are all or nothing ants, thinking that things are either all good or all bad. Okay? There are less than ants, comparing and seeing yourself as less than others. There are just the bad ants, seeing only the bad in a situation. There are guilt-beating ants, thinking in words like I should, I must, I ought, or I have to. There are labeling ants, attaching a negative label to yourself or to somebody else. Label. Who wants to be labeled? I don't. There are fortune-telling ants, predicting the worst possible outcome for a situation with little or no evidence for it. There are mind reading ants, believing that you know what other people are thinking, even though they haven't told you and they don't agree with your made up interpretation. If only, then I'll be happy ants, arguing with the past and longing for the future. There are blaming ants, blaming somebody else for your problems. So, number one, write it down. Number two, identify what really is the thought. And then number three, ask yourself, is this true? Am I 100% sure that it's true? And then number four, ask yourself how you feel when you have the thought. How do I feel when I have this thought? And then ask, how would you feel without the thought? You're writing this down. And then number five, make ant killing a daily habit. See, here's the piece that I think you might not get. This is work. Are you willing to do the work? Make ant killing a daily habit. Killing the ants takes practice. You can't just do it once and think you've mastered your thinking patterns. When you make it a daily practice, you'll feel more free, less anxious and depressed, less trapped in past hurts or losses. Anxiety, depression, trauma, and grief, they cannot wait for healing attention. They're both symptomatic and predictive of dis-ease. So pay attention to the symptom and address, not obsess. During these uncertain times, your mental well-being is more important than ever, and waiting until life gets back to normal is likely to make your symptoms worsen over time. Newsflash, this is normal. Today is a normal day. We can't control the circumstances outside of us. We can only control what is inside of us and our perspective on what's outside of us. Why do we engage in God talk first thing in the morning and then during times of prayer? But the rest of the day, we engage in self-talk. From the book, a book that I'm working through, gifted to me by a good friend, sorority sister, godly woman. It's called The Sacred Slow. The author writes, God invites us into a continuous duet, but in practice, we live most of our lives solo. Yes, we are that self-centered. Yes, we are that selfish. And so instead of constantly battling what we're thinking, we need to slow down in order to speed up. What do I mean by slow down? I mean letting all the multiplicity of thoughts and activities and checklists and patterns, let them all go and take time to process. All three of the tools I've created are processing tools. They are growth tools. They are self-guided, and they invite you to acknowledge how you're currently thinking. Remember, that's how we make goals, based on how we're feeling right now, what we're limited by, or what we're hopeful for. So let's take your current automatic negative thought, your very own personal ants. The best way to truly change a thought is to decide what you do want to be thinking. Instead of battling all the time what you don't want to be thinking, stop and say, what do I want to be thinking? What do I want to be thinking? Because reflection takes you to insights and solutions, something you can do, an action, a decision about not doing an action. Rumination takes you in circles. But it, like most things, is a choice. Each and every morning through the process of neurogenesis, little new neurons, little baby neurons with new baby dendrites, they're awaiting new information. You know, the scripture, his mercies are new every day. Well, this is what it's talking about. In your brain, there's new little baby dendrites waiting for information. Most people completely bypass this gift for the same unhealthy pattern that includes consumption and distraction. For the person who's willing to interrupt his or her pattern, the options are unlimited. Interrupt your pattern, interrupt your pattern. Yeah, tomorrow when you wake up, I never turn the TV on. I mean, I don't ever turn the TV on in my house. You're like, really? Yep, I've stopped watching all news. All news, I've stopped. If the TV is on in my house, my son has turned it on. And the earliest he would turn it on might be 6 or 7 p.m., unless it's a weekend sporting event. I understand that many people wake up, grab a beverage, and turn on the TV. Oh my gosh. Now, if you want to interrupt a pattern, that's the best and most obvious way to do it. But it's so quiet. That's right, it is. It sure is quiet. And that's where you want to start doing the work. Most people have very low boundaries for themselves. Everybody wants to be authentic, but most people think that means spewing out every thought that you have, putting all your stuff out there, posting social sensitive content that's sure to get lots of likes, working so hard to be relatable and likable. That is not authentic. Many people struggle with authenticity because they think they need to tell everything about everything, yet there's a disconnect. And you feel that disconnect when you see them. It's like something's off. You see them so loudly trying to say, I'm unique, see me, and see how open and honest I can be in my posts. Pastor Albert Tate says that that's more an indication that you need to process more with a therapist, that those who are solid in who they already know and respect the differences established in others. It's not such a loud exhaustion to be around them. Authenticity, it takes time for you to grab in quiet reflection. It's an invitation to stand in integrity. Integrity is integration. It is when who I say I am, post that I am, speak in one group of people, that's who I am. I mean, I am the integration of that is really who I am, what I believe, how I live, how I think, how I operate, how I treat others. I'm fully integrated. That is authenticity. One group doesn't get one version of me and another group gets another version of me. When you hear my voice, I'm authentically speaking from the vision, values, and principles that I want and stand on and work on enhancing, integrated into every area of my life without that one little lie or discrepancy. Pastor Tate says it's not about telling all, it's about believing all. I won't believe anything I say as long as I know I'm living out of integrity. Authenticity is consistently being who you say you are in every situation in all groups of people. So for those of you ready to toss daggers out at me, like, I don't even like that. It's not about perfectionism. It's not about being perfect at all. It's about clarity on principle, clarity on your values, clarity on morals and direction, who you are in the quiet, who you are in the noise. And then speaking from a space of belief with assurance, integrity integrated, and authenticity in truth telling. This is attractive to people. Authenticity is attractive, and it evolves from the time invested in clarifying who you are and what you're after in life. Here's the deal. It means saying no to yourself for every emotional impulse or desire. It includes restraint as a practice. Don't turn that TV on. You really do not need newscasters to tell you how to think and believe. You really don't. Instead, open up your quiet time, open up your Bible, open up the Word. People who can say no to themselves can create every positive thing you want out of life. People who cannot say no to themselves, no, I will not have that. No, I will not do that. No, I will not go there. People who can say no to themselves can create every positive thing you want out of life. It is the 90-day process, and it will be found in this method of intentional living and growth. Why do people return to old date books or old ways of navigating their schedule in life? Because it's familiar. Even if they see no change, if they don't experience any sustained growth or promotability, it's familiar. And familiar will win with most people because growth is work. It is hard. It is uncomfortable. And most people underestimate this aspect of growth and change. And you have to go at it 90 days after 90 days after 90 days, focusing on one day at a time. The most important and most influential conversation is the conversation you have with yourself. No, I won't do that. Yes, I will do that. It's never the water around the ship that sinks it. It's the water that gets inside. The self-awareness is the element that will separate the person who buys a 90-day planner and a person who experiences radical change in his or her life through the method of the 90-day planner, growth and increase in advancement. You probably already know this, but your body and brain are 1% of you. Your body, your physical body and brain are 1% of you. Your mind is 99% of you. It contains the non-conscious, the subconscious, and the conscious, your mind. If uncontrolled thoughts run rampant in our brain, rendering erratic and chaotic emotions, this neurochemical chaos results in anxiety, which today is the #1 mental illness. And this obviously affects our ability to process information, make the best decisions, and certainly sets up a roadblock to life success in every category. When we revert to this state of mind, our unhealthy default thinking and habits are easy to go. We think, why bother? And we go back to the old thing. Understanding this process is key because the beauty is that our minds are extraordinarily capable. When we understand this and we're willing to do the work, anything is possible. Thoughts are the language of the brain. Feelings are the language of the body, according to Dr. Joe. And how you think and how you feel creates your state of being. So you've got to do the work on affirmations, on how you think, because your thoughts will impact how you feel. A memory and an emotion can stick you and stagnate you into the past. A smell or a fragrance, and I'll bet you've had a lot of that over the holidays, because our memories are triggered by decorations or lights or traditions. The only way out of a predictable future based on your past, your thoughts, feelings, and emotions and habits is, wait for it, the power of this moment. You only get to make strides towards great change in this moment, not in the next moment, not tomorrow, right now. So how are you feeling right now? What are you thinking right now? What emotions do you hold right now? If you're feeling frustrated or like, I need to stop, I just need to get alone. Give me another minute, give me a few more minutes, because it's super important that you understand that when you're feeling the most anxious and the most frustrated, the most whirlwind, that is when you stop and do the work. That is when you grab the ant. That is when you grab the thought. That is when you breathe in and out. That's when you decide, what do I want to be thinking? And you change it up right there. It's work. It is work. So if you disregard that you only get to make strides towards change in this moment, if you disregard that, your predictable future has already been written. We've been primed that the unknown is a scary place. But hey, guys, the last 10 months, we've experienced unknown every day. And here we are, standing on our feet, hopeful, note-taking, goal-oriented, ready to step into 2021 with greater intent and preferred outcomes, with vision, with alignment, with affirmations. This process of affirmation, this process of change, it's got to include becoming conscious of your unconscious thoughts, of your non-conscious thoughts, and of your subconscious thoughts. Complaining, making excuses, judging other people, finger pointing. When you become conscious of this, self-aware, you can change the thought. Those old emotions, they tie you to a past. Your old emotions that are very familiar, they tie you to a past and therefore to a predictable future. And unless you ask those emotions and unless you invite them and bring them along into your future, your predictable future has already been written. If you want to reap abundance, you cannot drag minimal in with you. You cannot drag in small thoughts. You cannot drag experiences of lack forward. Newsflash, if you want to detangle old emotions, thoughts, and patterns that have only rendered you more of the same that you do not want, it is work, a lot of work, daily work, repetitive work. Are you willing to do the work instead of debate the price tag of the work? If you want to change your state of being, all you have to do is marry a clear intention of the future with an elevated emotion of the present. If you want to change your state of being, all you have to do is marry a clear intention of the future, a thought, with an elevated emotion in the present, right now, a feeling. And the stronger you see it and feel it, the more strongly your body is conditioned to accept it. Have you ever just known that an outcome you desire was going to happen and it did? I have. And you know what happens? People start to show up out of nowhere. Synchronicities, opportunities, coincidences of alignment, bringing an outcome to your life. This is what's at play. The same is true for a negative outcome. We expect the past to repeat itself, negative thoughts, a body in emotion, bracing for no results. And then sure enough, we get that. It takes clear intention and elevated emotion to change our state of being. So if we react to a person or circumstance in our lives and we lose the feeling, we're back to the unconscious program of being a victim in our lives. We get disconnected from the energy of our future and we're back to our predictable past. So we got to work at it. Emotions are the end product of past experiences. Emotions are the end product of past experiences, not future experiences. When our emotion is like, oh, again, it's from the past. Elevated emotions become fuel to drive us into a new future. Should I repeat that? Elevated emotions become fuel to drive us into a new future. The goal is to get behavior to match intention every single day. To get behavior to match intention every single day. This is where tracking every day in your 90-day planner, what you wrote in the front of it, is key to the method. People write their goals and they lose them. They forget them. It's why I even designed the 90-day planner, because I lost my goals. I mean, you know the story. It's recorded someplace else. People write goals and lose them. They forget them. They decide a habit, and after a few lame days, when the habit isn't automatic, they also dump it and forget about it. But when you repeatedly align your intention and behavior, you get a new experience. When you repeatedly align your intention and your behavior, you get a new experience. When you get a new experience, you get a new emotion. Build on this and you change your genetic future. You can stay in the same emotional state, or you can change it by creating a new experience, by changing your behavior to match an intention that, when repeated, will bring you to a new and different outcome. This is a key element to creating the change you want. The brain and body are 1%. The physical part is 1%. Thoughts are 99%, non-conscious, subconscious, and unconscious. Your mind controls your brain. Your brain responds to your mind. You don't even go 3 seconds without thinking. That's why working on this aspect of thinking is worth this amount of time. So by now you might be feeling a little anxious, even confused, like, oh, I need to practice this, see if I can even capture a thought. It's a lot to take in it. And at the same time, if you followed me at all, it's an expansion of a message I've been teaching for a very long time now. Maybe it's a welcoming message to receive. Maybe because I'm taking some time to expand on it a little bit, it's like, okay, keep going, because I'm really thinking I'm getting this. I hope so, because you can create the changes you need and want to design a preferred future. If we continue to do and say today what we did and said yesterday, just because we won't slow down long enough to consider if yesterday's thoughts and choices served us well, we will repeat, repeat, repeat. When you know slowing down and addressing one element of work or relationships, but you're too busy or too distracted to do that, enjoy the repetition of your results. Your future is predictable. It looks a lot like the past. When you slow down, you must slow down to speed up. There are 2 trains of thought interwoven in the Design Your Life message. One is the process of accumulation, and the other is interrupt your pattern. Where you are right now is an example of the process of accumulation. What you've done, what you've thought, what you've said, who you've partnered with. The process of accumulation have brought you to where you are right now. Interrupt your pattern. In fact, I'd like to suggest radically interrupt it. What if tomorrow you made some decisions about what it was going to look like and you interrupted your pattern? Okay, first of all, I want to tell you how awkward it's going to feel if you get up at a different time, if you set a different schedule, if you create less noise, if you burn some kind of candle or incense. I can tell you it's going to be awkward, but what needs to be interrupted? Viktor Frankl said, in between stimulus and response is space. And in that space, I get to choose my response. And in that response lies my growth and freedom. Anytime you face a setback in business or life, you have 2 options. You can decide you're a failure and give up, ultimately repeating a different version of your past, or you can get stronger, wiser, and integrate higher level thinking and be more determined to succeed. To move forward, you have to let go of something of your past self. If you keep recycling old patterns, choices, and thoughts and behaviors that have kept you prisoner of lost hope, repeat disappointments, you have to let it go. So decide, we're getting the affirmations piece, decide what thoughts you absolutely cannot and will not bring into your future, and then write them down. Write them down. Write them down. What are they? I'm too old. I'm too young. I'm too anything. This is too hard. I'll start next month. It's my parents' fault. It's my husband's fault. It's the government's fault. I can't trust myself. Decide what behaviors and habits have to go. What thoughts? Write them down and then get rid of them. Write them down and then they are gone. Do you complain? Do you blame? Do you procrastinate? So we're talking about thoughts and behaviors and emotions, because emotions stem from thoughts, and this is the place that we have to do the biggest work. To create a new future, you cannot drag along habits and thoughts that don't fit with that future. For example, if you want to be wealthy, you can't drag along a spirit of lack or a fear of losing. If you want to be healthy, you cannot drag along sloppy daily choices. Do we really need more research on what foods bring life, energy, gut-brain alignment, and health? Do we really need more research on that? It's not lack of knowing. Knowledge is not what we're missing. We live in an age of instant knowledge, instant research, unless you're getting censored. But for the most part, you can find just about anything. You cannot drag along sloppy daily choices and excuse or fear. You have to begin to condition your body by creating a new mindset. Once you decide what you're going to leave behind, you start to create your future self and decide what you want to think. Are you willing to redefine yourself by a vision of the future instead of memories of the past? What and who do you want in your life? What and who do you want in your life? And you know what? You might need to take your phone and delete, block, and unfollow. You might need to do that. Because even as you're thinking about these answers, you're changing your mind. Write it out. How do you want to describe yourself, your work, your success, your promotion, your relationships, your zip code, your farm, your home, your marriage, your impact, your influence? What emotions do you want to feel? Feel them. Teach your body your future by feeling new and different emotions, by thinking new and different thoughts. Yes, it's work, because they will flee and the old ones will come back in. And you have to grab them and capture and pause. What do I want to think? Where is my future? You have to redo the work. To interrupt your pattern, you have to say no to repeating yesterday's thoughts, no to repeating yesterday's habits, no to yesterday's distractions, no to yesterday's discouragement. Pam, what are affirmations? They are repeated instructions to the subconscious mind, designed to be repeated instructions to bring the future vision of yourself into greater awareness and reality. What? Affirmations are repeated instructions to the subconscious mind, designed to be repeated instructions to bring the future vision of yourself into greater awareness and reality. These statements repeated will elevate the state of mind to believe in your future vision, so that as you take action in alignment with becoming that person, you take action in alignment with becoming that person, then you accelerate the timeline. Without them, the likelihood of remaining the same is high, because reality and present circumstance have a way of being louder than vision not yet experienced or manifested. Does that make sense? I have more experience being who I am now than I have experience in what I want in the future. So it's very important that this gets a louder voice. Norman Vincent Peale said, change your thoughts and you change your world. Self-awareness is the most important element of being able to move forward. It's why knowing your top 5 strengths or your top 10 strengths, are really up to 17 in a lifetime. You can develop up to 17, and beyond 17, it's just not you, girl. Just not you, buddy. So your top 5, your top 10, up to 17, knowing your personality style, knowing your motivational style, your Enneagram, they're all very important. However, a large warning to each of us. If I stick to a label versus the pathway of growth and how it's going to benefit me, then I will stay stuck in my present self. For example, if I'm safety and security and I put a blanket around that label for myself, I'm safety and security. In other words, I'm not quick to take risks. Who will I be able to lead who's a risk taker? If I'm power and achievement and I only function well when I'm winning, how equipped am I to encourage other people or to lead others to win when they're to stick to it when they're not winning? The level of risk must accompany first, and a level of humility must accompany the second. If I'm freedom and choice and I only connect with people when it's convenient to me or when my mood is up, what kind of loyalty can I grow in my tribe or my community or my team? What can I possibly expect if I don't show up because I'm freedom and choice? You don't have to like it and you don't have to understand it, but I will tell you the law of reciprocation is at work and it will never fail, because there are 2 versions of our talents and our strengths. We're either in the balcony version or the basement version. The balcony version, which looks like courage, connection, determination, confidence, or in our basement version, I'm going to share some of my top 10 strengths with you. One is belief. In its basement version, it's stubborn and closed off to change. Activator is in my top 5. In my basement version, I'm like, ready, aim, fire, loose cannon, speak before I think, in left field, because other people haven't caught up. Whereas in its balcony version, I'm a self-starter, have energy, and I'm fearless. I could really miss the right pivot if I'm residing in the basement and defending it. So those of you who have positivity as a top 5 strength, in its balcony version, you're enthusiastic, energetic, generous with praise and optimistic. But in your basement version, you're naive, superficial, Pollyanna. It's going to happen. No, it's not. Empathy is another beautiful talent. In its balcony version, it's something that creates trust and brings healing and customizes the approach as you get around others. But in its basement version, it's over involved, always in drama, soft, moody, and defensive. I'm a fan of you knowing and working from your strengths and working to keep them in their balcony version. If you've never done this, strengthfinderinstitute.com. Pam, get to the point. Okay. So the purpose of an affirmation is to state your future desired outcome self in your strength set in the balcony version. We're not human doings. We're human beings. We are becoming. Catch 22, however, is that what we do determines who we become. And who we become relates more to how we think, which affects what we do. If I rehearse only my present circumstances or stand on my strength and my Enneagram and stick to that story without considering that my need for you to get me, that I'm actually in the basement version of my gifts and I don't even get me. I'm the most frustrated when I don't get me. I'm trying to get other people to get me, but I don't even get me. That's an indication you're in the basement of yourself. I repeat what I say out loud to myself. I'm doomed to experience more of the same. So if left to roaming thoughts, ones that recur, repeat, and remind me of my lack, especially if you're social media scrolling, then your future has nowhere to go but a loop of repeat, 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 repeat. If you can't or won't imagine and rehearse a different, more preferred future, you won't have one, period. Rehearsing your future means speaking out loud your future vision preference. Otherwise, your historical or present voice speaks. Many people live as victims to what they can see. It's the very opposite of the Christian's definition of faith. To live as the victim is to live within the limited belief system that everything in our outer world is happening to us, or it's not happening to us. If your energy is invested in this reality, you freely give away your power to someone or something outside of you, allowing that external condition to control how you think and feel. Simply put, when things are smooth and good, you feel good. When things seem bad, you feel bad, and you operate on those feelings. That is the polarized world of victim consciousness in a nutshell. To change that, you have to find a way to feel joy, to feel love or hope, to feel gratitude before you see it in your real world. To create a new future, a person needs to marry a clear intention, your brain, with a clear emotion, your heart. I will assure you of this. Voices become your viewpoint. And the loudest, most consistent voice is your own, your inside voice. Normally it runs rampant without a whole lot of restraint. Capture it. My first affirmations were on a cassette tape recorder a little while ago with a pillow sleeper from Radio Shack. It was very high technology. Plugged it into the little recorder and you put it in your ear, and the affirmations that I had spoken in my own words to music in the background, they looped around. And I understood then, I just did what I was told because I didn't understand the brain and I didn't know about epigenetics and I didn't know you could override your DNA and all those things I did not know, but I did what the person who was leading me told me to do, whether I understood it or not. And I wanted to retrain my thinking to believe in a preferred future. So how do you create affirmations? Well, first and foremost, they are in the present tense. I am. There is the most powerful expression of I am. It states that a knowledge of I am. So that's the first. I am, present tense. You've got to believe what you write, even if you can't see it. And the only way you'll believe what you write, even if you can't see it, is if you're putting in the effort to become the person who could get the outcome of what you write. You've got to trust the process and not grow weary. Affirmations are repeated statements to the subconscious mind designed to be repeated instructions to bring the future vision of yourself into greater awareness and reality. These statements repeated will elevate your state of mind to believe in your future vision so that as you take action in alignment with becoming that person, you accelerate the timeline. Without them, the likelihood of remaining the same is high because reality and present circumstance have a way of being louder than a vision not yet experienced or manifested. A huge part of this goal setting lesson is to challenge you to establish new affirmations. I'm going to give you 2 steps to writing out affirmations. Get a blank piece of paper. Number 1, write out what you want and who you want to become. What do you want? And who do you want to become? What do you want to have? And who do you want to be? Character traits, earning potential, earning money, an exact amount of money, a title, a zip code, a home, a relationship. What do you really want? Make the long list. And then number 2, put those real desires, not your wish list and not your dream list, what you really want. Put those desires in I am statements and then put them on a note card or in a prayer journal or both, and then record them on the phone section of your voice memo. I'm going to give you just a few samples. Did I leave a few of them in here? I think I did. Okay. I am healthy, well, fit, energetic, and strong, 115 pounds with 15% body fat. I have all the support I need, blessed with caring, talented, and loyal humans. I am energetic, in high vibration for those I lead, my family and friends. I actually have a bunch of them here. I recently reread the classic Think and Grow Rich, and this one is a slight edited affirmation from the book. I will attract others to me by my willingness to serve others. I will eliminate hatred, envy, jealousy, selfishness, and cynicism by developing love for all humanity, because I know a negative attitude towards others will never bring me success. A friend recently shared one of her affirmations included, I am living in my dream home with a pool in my backyard. And she showed us not only the pool, but the ocean. You will never go where you don't first live in your mind, ever. So how do I do it? I rewrite affirmations. This last time I recorded mine to Tibetan bowls. It is on Spotify and I play it on my Alexa downstairs, kind of loud so that I could record over at my kitchen table. There is a healing element to the sound of the bowls, and I just recorded them in my voice. So once you've written them, put them in your prayer journal or your morning time where you're going to be able to see them in your 90-day planner. There's a space for them. And then also record them so that you can hear your own voice. Play them in the morning. You're like, you don't have the habit of this yet, so you have to set an alarm on your phone and to poke you to listen to them daily until they become a habit. Say them out loud at the beginning and end of your quiet time. Say them at the beginning of your quiet time and at the end of the night. Napoleon Hill in Think and Grow Rich says to repeat them out loud again before bedtime, the number one that you want the most. Use a duplicate note card as a bookmark in your journal or your 90-day planner so that you're looking at it more than once a day. I recommend downloading Hal Elrod's Miracle Morning on Audible. And I also recommend doing downloading the Think and Grow Rich synopsis. Definitely a great Audible to listen to. But start today with 5 affirmations. Even if you don't feel like you know what you're doing, you'll get more clear. You can refine them. Today, we're taking over our mental real estate. Maybe it's been weeds, snodgrass, dead branches. Maybe you've not taken care of your property. Maybe you haven't pruned anything. What you expect will come to you. Don't expect anything good or big or different, then you're going to get exactly that. Your expectation precedes your elevation. So starting tomorrow, your self-boundaries will be revealed. Will you say, no, not yesterday's habits or patterns, but a new one today? Can you say no to yourself? Can you create a boundary for yourself? Your determination muscle will be revealed. If you're weak, will you strengthen it? You know, I didn't get these rocking biceps in one day. I didn't get them in 1 week or 1 month. It's time over time. There's no one day that you go to the gym that you just walk away with a bicep. It's time over time. Everything we do begins with a thought. If you want to change anything in your life, you've got to first change your thinking. The 99% of you, your mind, you control it. You're not a victim to it. I've never seen or heard of someone radically changing something in their life, health, wealth, relationships, work, or purpose without first intentionally redirecting, redesigning their thoughts. We don't drift into a new promotion. We don't drift into health. We don't drift into true wealth or into influence. True growth requires intentional living. And for most of us, it will require radical interruption. So make some big picture decisions. Make some decisions today that will honor your future. In the next 10 years, right? Add 5 years to your life right now. Just do a quick math. How old are you plus 5? How old will you be in 5 years? What would your plus 5-year-old self thank you for doing today? That's at the very first page of your 90-day planner. Drinking, eating crazy, thinking small, historical, conversations with other people, gossip, social media scrolling, news, wasted TV, poor life habits. It all accumulates. You cannot get that kind of input and expect to output something better. Coherence is key. Orderly intent with orderly thinking, with orderly behavior, with consistency. Not that I decide for you, but that you decide for yourself. Cognitive dissonance is when there's a discrepancy in a conflicting value, belief, and behavior. Value, belief, and behavior. If you feel like a hypocrite, there's usually an indication that you are. So that starts to affect every other aspect of your life. Your attraction goes down. You doubt you can count on yourself. But this problem rests within your thoughts and your actions. If you want to advance in your life, got to have brain and heart coherence. Okay, so there is an emotional guidance scale that I'm going to share with you now. And this one is from thelawofattraction.com. Okay, so here's the thing with your emotions, right? You're either in an upward spiral or a downward spiral. When you're in an upward spiral, the emotions that you have chosen, the coherence are love, joy, passion, enthusiasm, hopefulness, contentment, freedom, empowerment, eagerness, happiness, optimism, belief, and positivity. When you're in that emotion, you're in an upward spiral. Guess what else you are? You are wildly attractive to other people. When you're in a downward spiral, guess what? It starts with boredom. I don't know what to do. When we were bored as children, our parents got rid of boredom so early on because if we dared to say, I'm bored, oh, we had a chore. We were never allowed to be bored. We had to either be content, right? We have to always be doing something, but we could not say, I'm bored, because there was always something more to be bored. Boredom, like, I don't know what to do. So think this through. I don't know what to do. Click, turn on the TV. No, but that's what a lot of people do. Boredom. As soon as you turn on the TV and the news, even if it's in the background, oftentimes you start to get this like, oh, feeling, and you can't identify it. We'll turn the TV off, but then it's so quiet. Then what would the person who wants that vision do? Would they listen to a podcast? Would they make 10 calls? What would they do, right? Because this downward spiral is frustration, irritation, worry, doubt, anger, rage, jealousy, insecurity, hatred, guilt, and powerlessness. Wow. Okay. There you have it. And that is not exactly where we want to reside. But when you know that the emotions are going to make a difference, then in those emotions, you have to choose what emotion you're actually after. Okay. Let's get back to where we were here. Okay. I think I literally just got rid of my notes. How could I have done that? I don't know. Okay. Here they are. All right, let me get back to that one beautiful tag on. So how are you doing right now? Write in the chat. What questions do you have? What thoughts are you having? You know, where are you landing in all this? I want you to write one affirmation in the chat that you are fully committed to integrating, implementing, like immediately tomorrow. And the next thing that I want you to do is to write out when you're going to take the 2 to 6 hours to get alone and to make a decision about putting all this together. Okay. All right. So we got affirmations. Let's see. Are you writing it out? Anybody have a question? Looking. Appreciate my Breakthrough Academy students being on and answering all the questions about the planner and what's in front of it and what's behind it. Okay. I'm almost there. Affirmations, law of attraction. There's another image that I was going to bring up for you, but in the interest of time, it's a whole lot like the one that I just shared, but it comes from another institute. Let me get you the name of that. Oh my goodness. I have a lot of pages here that I'm scrolling through. Okay, growth. Thank you for your patience. I can't believe I just did that. Okay, way. I have gone through a lot of words. Okay, so here's what I want you to do in the chat right now. And this is where I'm going to go to when I get off and come back and read. So far, what is the one takeaway, the one message that you have totally gained and gleaned from during tonight? What's the one thing that means the most to you of everything that I've talked about, of everything about your future? What's the one thing that you're taking away? I want to see what that is, because I'll be encouraged when I go back. Okay, let's see. Almost. Balcony version. Wow, I can't believe I did that to myself. I've never done that before that I know of. Okay, present tense affirmations, and write them out and then record them. You got that part. You know about the energy. How can you choose that energy? You just simply do. You know, one thing today that I read from Dr. Leaf was kind of to do a reverse conversation about gratitude. Instead of thinking about what you wish you had or what you've lost, think about what you currently have and how you would feel if you lost that. And that in itself will make you more appreciative. Most people live in the tangible circumstances of life and never have an energy field of what's possible. you know how I talk about get it in the whisper, the nudges, the future unknown preferred life, which is out there. Most people stay in what is known. The life cycle keeps moving, and we have to decide if we drift or if we design seasons of your own life. Childhood, school, college, life just keeps getting away from us. Christmas always makes me think about this because I always want to go home to where I grew up. My parents sold that home a long time ago. But from your childhood into school years into college, that goes very fast. And then job, and then your next job, marriage, children, birth, toddlers, their school years, their teenage years, rebellion, addiction, emptiness, and then your grandchildren, and then your aging parents. Life moves really fast that way. And God created us to do life comprehensively. So if we thrive on fear and circumstances, we find ourselves huddling with non-thinkers and skaters through life based on what season we're in only. Or do we work hard at making best decisions over good in the middle of life? Creating intentional, living inclusive, the cycle and seasons of life. To create a new future, a person has to marry a coherent brain, clear intention, with an elevated emotion, coherent heart. This is how we change our energy. And when we change our energy, we can change our life. The reverse is being a victim to circumstance. A new personal reality is created when you state this clear vision, bringing alignment into goal setting, write and speak affirmations relating to your preferred future and self, literally closing your eyes and living in that preferred future vision 2 times a day. First thing in the morning, right before you go to sleep. And then you're left to consider what environment supports your growth. So we're going to take a look at environment number 4, and then number 5, reasons people fail, and then we're going to bring it home with the tool and action step. So that was the longest element of it. So I'm going to, I better hurry up. I've been talking a long time. Oh my gosh. Okay. An environment to support growth. A refreshment of the 90-day principles. Number 1, you can change anything in 90 days. Number 2, you can't change what you won't acknowledge. Number 3, you can't live your values until you know what they are. Number 4, you can't break a habit until you replace it with a different one. Number 5, time invested in one area is time away from another, so choose wisely with your time. Number 6 used to say, change is hard and growth takes time. I took that out because it bothered people. But you know what? Change is hard and growth takes time. I was watching SAB, the American Ballet, Balanchine, on Disney. It's called Point, I think. And one of the ladies who's a big deal there, she selects talent. She says she can almost always tell by looking at a person's body, but that's not even the indicator. You can tell a person's potential, but it takes 10 years to know what they're going to do with ballet. Change is hard and growth takes time. That's the reality. What it says now is change can be hard. The pain of regret is always more painful than the pain of change. And then the last one is, if you don't intentionally pivot, alter, or shift the direction of your life, it will migrate in the same direction. Intentionally pivoting, altering, shifting direction includes your environment. Author James Clear says the more disciplined your environment is, the less disciplined you have to be. Wow. The more disciplined your environment is, the less disciplined you need to be. Don't swim upstream. One concept in the 90-day planner is to frame your day. Frame your day invites you to consider your established habits morning and night. This is one example of taking charge of your physical environment in a way that brings comfort, structure to morning and night. So frame my day. Here are a few that personally anchor me. In the morning, I'm up 2 hours before I have to take scheduled action. When it's quiet, nobody else is up. I feed my brain. Biblical quiet time and meditation plus affirmations. I write and I journal. I get brain clarity. Feed my dog, dress, and get ready for my workout. And then nutrition is planned. My work day starts immediately after my workout. That's the morning frame of my day. The evening frame of my day. I'll do it again today. Plan tomorrow, tonight. List 1/2 hour at a time using the yellow sticky pad if you're using in the from the classic, or if you're in the 8.5 by 11, there's a page, a strip down each daily page. This removes negotiation and lost time in the morning if you plan tomorrow, tonight. In the evening, I will declutter any accumulation on my desk, phone images. It removes distraction in the morning. Create my dog, put my workout clothes on my heated floor, because that's a layer of one less decision to have to negotiate in the morning. Sometimes you don't go work out because you can't figure out what to wear. But if it's all sitting there, like everything is sitting there, It's one less obstacle. I lower the temperature to super cold at night. I set the house alarm. I re-say my affirmations. I turn the fan and white noise on. That's the evening frame that happens every single night. I hate to wake up in the night hot. And so I don't at my house because it's 60 degrees in the house at night. Lots of blankets, heavy blankets. I got Thomas a weighted blanket. He's so excited. But it's cold. And it's because you sleep better and deeper, and you get more REM and deep sleep when it's that cold. So those are just things that I've studied that I know now. I just know that. I stop eating at least 3 hours, usually 5, before I go to sleep, because I don't want the digestion to wake me up. They're just things that I know now, that it's not up for discussion. I now know this biologically. So when you frame the beginning and closure of your day with structure, it minimizes debating your important habits. The first 2 hours and the last hour, it's a remarkable habit that strengthens you in confidence. So in your environment, what in your house, if it weren't there, you would not stumble over? So obvious are consumptions, unhealthy food options, ingredients to bake, alcohol, piles, magazines, TVs in every room. Put space between you and a triggered temptation. You got to control that environment. And then, your quiet time. Set up this space and time. I love the movie War Room with Priscilla Shirer, because there was a clear evidence place where that woman went to pray. I have space where I have my quiet time. I have my books and my Bible and my journal right there. I don't have to find them or think where I want to sit. I know where it's going to be. In your environment, who else lives with you? Other people and their mood, their issues. Navigate the uncontrollable versus experiencing the same frustrations over and over and over. Dance around it. Find a different way to move that environment. Neighbors, hopefully you have good ones, but maybe you have some annoying ones, right? What do you do to navigate environmental interruptions that work for you? I've seen people sabotage themselves over and over and over by making the most obvious disruptive decisions. It's as if they welcome the distraction as a legitimate excuse from going on a focus journey for long enough to get a result. So they literally hijack their focus, from who lives with them to an untimely move, to barking dogs that prevent phone calls and conversations, to a random vacation. Really, scenarios are endless. I've seen people take repeated vacations instead of taking one every other couple of years, gritting it out to buckle down the inevitable. And listen, I'm not saying no to animals or no to vacations. Wise people time their choices well. And I've seen people time them well, and I've seen people literally just disrupt and repeat the cycle all over again. All of us have blind spots. All of us do. I do, you do, we all do. However, most of us don't invite the closest of friends to speak into our lives because we're unwilling to make the changes and admit the decisions. We keep the same voices, and those same voices keep us the same. Result: stubborn and prideful trumps vision accomplished. When you're ready, and hopefully with enough time left, you will address in accountability what you already know to be so. While I'm on this topic, are you someone who makes accountability worth it for the person who you're being accountable with? If accountability turns into accusations of the other person, a debate, personally, I'm not going to do it anymore. I bring my best when the person I'm engaging brings her hungriest, does not waste my time, integrates suggestions and insights from my experience. I'm not 20 anymore. I'm not 30 anymore. I'm not 40 anymore. I'm not even 50 anymore, right? So I will give to the person who's like, okay, yes, now what? What in your environment and your mentor invites your 2021 accomplishment, and what in your environment has set you up for a stumble and fall? Will you correct it now? We cannot let the environment control our feelings and thoughts, and we cannot let the environment dictate what is possible. The environment is a blank slate, a canvas. You get to design it. Design your life. Live your vision. What are you allowing that you're not addressing? Your environment also includes existing relationships and situations, circumstance. This often dictates advancement or stagnation. If I'm describing you, if you feel good when circumstances and relationships work and they're going well, you feel good. And when things are not, you feel bad. TV's on in the background. You haven't figured out why you want to bite yourself. You wake up to every piece of your environment. This is critical to know, and even more so if your feelings drive you more than controlled thinking, logical, well thought out pivoting. Ironically, the way you think and the way you feel attracts and it affects the environment you live in. Living in stress is living in survival, activating the autonomic nervous system, which mobilizes energy to fight, run, freeze, and hide. It's a constant state, and this points to some kind of breakdown and dis-ease. So what needs to change in your current environment to assure cohesive alignment with your vision, your goals and your affirmations. It may be a tweak, a day of decluttering, or it may mean you go to another piece of real estate to do your work without the distractions. If you need to get rid of stuff in your workspace, put it in tubs and in the garage or attic or storage. And if after a year you didn't need anything in the tub, throw it out without looking. Full disclosure, I've lived in my home 25 years. I could unload a third of it still. I've done some decluttering and remodeling along the way, but my environment does not affect my work focused future. If it did, I'd take 2 days or a week and clear the space out that was distracting. Our tolerance for this is very individual. So if your convenience and comfort is bigger than your vision, you'll unlikely hear this, but environment is key to goal accomplishment. That leads me to another area of uncomfortable conversation, and I promise we'll end on a high note. If you only address the feel good of goal setting, nothing will change. When you address the real deal about remaining the same or digressing, then and only then from an honest place, which only gets placed in history once addressed. It's not like the truth is going to come back and bite you once you're willing to deal. It happens in this order. Identify it, bring it all out in the open. Call it what it was and is. Be 100% honest. What is causing that emotion or feeling? And you cannot go, it's you, it's you, it's you, it's you, it's you. It's the way this, and no, it's not, it's you. It is based on fact or assumption, the way you're feeling. Fact or assumption. When you live your life projecting intent onto others, you'll always feel the anxiety of that choice. Own it, not blame it. Acknowledge the clue of the emotion. What is true? What am I interjecting? How we're replacing that with a healthier next option, future choice, thought, habit, decision, and so on. What outcome will the new produce? What is the price tag of going back to old? You choose. What in your environment and relationships is a blockade to your goal accomplishment? What are you going to do about it? Okay. We have 5, 6, and 7 left, but we're going to move really fast. Reasons we fail. There are reasons people fail in goal setting. 1, too many goals at one time. And 2, they set resolutions and not goals. Resolutions wander in the self-control category. I can discipline myself. I can grit it out. I resolve to never or to always. This leaves the outcome to emotion and to circumstance. It won't work. 90% of all resolutions are gone within 60 minutes. It has to be a method, a foundation for successful goal setting. It's another reason people fail is the goals aren't written, clarified, and broken down. They're not repeated, and they're not accountable on a regular basis. It's too much work. Okay, stay the same. I didn't say it was magic, Tinkerbell, or spell. It is work. I think that's really the message that I wanted to bring you tonight, is that change is work and it's worth it. The other reason people fail at goal setting, they're not willing to do the work. Please tune in. If you could do on your own with what you know and how you treat each day, each emotional trigger, each setback or limiting belief, you'd already be where you want to be. And yes, let's celebrate progress, any progress, no matter how long it took. We're going to call it progress, because what I want for you is accelerated progress, measurable, reliable, noticeable, accelerated progress. There's mastery in the method. In the 90-day planner, you take the guided space between 7 days. Between every week, it's what I call the space between 7 days to recalibrate. 52 times a year, you're evaluating and looking and tweaking and adjusting your goals and your spoken words. 4 times a year, every 90 days, you rewrite every word that you're investing in right now. Do you know how much more likely you are to achieve with that kind of repetition? And in daily affirmations with your number 1 affirmation accomplishment twice a day, morning and evening, I hope you're getting excited as I am about telling you this, because this method works when you work it. Reasons we fail. We normalize dysfunction and distraction. Everybody else is. Well, you're not everybody else. We won't get still enough to create the clarity of that 3 to 12 goals in 1 to 3 categories. We won't narrow our one thing, so we start someplace specific. We're unwilling to interrupt an obvious negative pattern. We doubt our perseverance muscle and we don't strengthen it. We don't trust the process of accumulation, even though it's in front of us as evidence. The evidence is what we have done with the time and what we have or have not accomplished. The process of accumulation is evidence in our lives right now. We focus on what we have to sacrifice instead of what we have to gain. We're unwilling to be accountable with someone who's a truth teller and available to you. So what do you do with that? Identify what applies to you, because not all of it does. Write it out, talk it out, pinpoint the one choice, the one pattern interruption, the one environment distraction that will give you the biggest leg up to move forward. Are you willing to do the work? Get your mind right, your brain right, your habits right, your relationships, finances, and your purpose. Want that? It's attainable, but you've got to start. Okay, the tool. I'm going to completely jump past the tool, because you guys know that I believe that this was a God-given, God-driven opportunity to be able to, for myself, to go through every season of life, wins, losses, births, deaths. I really do really believe that the method that's in the 90-day planner is one of a kind. Although I knew when people asked me for a while ago, not long after I published the 90-day planner, apps started to become popular. And everybody asked me if I was going to put the 90-day planner in an app or as a download for people to apply it like a buffet, get the pages that they liked. And although I knew I could have sold a gazillion apps and downloads, I knew that the process would be defamed and broken apart. So I refused to create something I could sell, but that would not be effective. Am I saying that all time management apps are not effective? Well, it might be, because there are a couple of things to consider from Dr. Leaf, a neuroscientist, when you're looking at your daily planner. Are you only looking to see what time you have an appointment? Or are you looking to grow personally, professionally, spiritually, create habits that will accelerate your success and your maturity and your character and bring your strengths into their balcony version? Notice key behaviors. This is all a big piece of it, because you will never make a change looking at what time an appointment is or who you need to call or text, because it doesn't invite you out of your comfort zone into a new way of thinking, feeling, choosing, behaving. Oh, yes. It keeps you from taking any different action and keeps you in a comfort zone. If you're willing to make something better and you're not willing to trade off, then I believe with all my heart, you can absolutely get to the other side of this vision. There's an old saying that until the pain of remaining the same is greater than the pain of change, we will choose our old comfortable house slippers and lifestyle. The process of what category in life you take action on, what habits you choose to integrate, this is going to be the story of the next chapter of your life. The last principle, growth is hard and change takes time. I knew that people didn't like that. Social media, although infamous for giving us polished and edited highlight reels of other people's lives, has also given us access to observe other people's difficulty, courage, and overcoming. And the bottom line, I've gotten older and I've become more wise through the years. So your options are embrace the hard or delay the inevitable. The inevitable is one we'll still ultimately will have to choose to change and grow. So what if it takes you a year or 5 years to get where you want to go in that vision? God willing, the 1 year and the 5 years are going to pass anyway. If you look back, they already have. So this is not manipulation, and it's not a threat to that. You don't want to be in a place of I don't want to be in regret. That's not the thought you want to hold on to. But you can look from the Old Testament to Revelation, and you can look all through history of the United States and the world, and you will see this truth play out in generation after generation. So let's grab a tool that works well and that will guide you. Do you need mine? Well, you can do the method without the tool, but I've been using mine for 23 years. 4 90-day planners a year for 23 years. Some of them I can point to exact growth and increase. Some of them, sadly, box checked. But I can tell you the season of life at this season, at this age, I want to make every 90-day cycle count. And I invite you to do the same, whether you're 20 or older than me. So let me put a period at the end of this thought. Why not an app, and why write it down? Whereas technology in excess, used improperly or overused, abused, creates chaos in the brain, Dr. Leaf, you've got to slow down. Neuroscience reveals that writing hand to eye and in color sorts chaos and brings mental clarity. That's why it's not an app. Dr. Leaf teaches how to do effective 63-day brain detox using her Metacog process of gather, reflect, write, recheck, and active reach, a system that is a brain building exercise, writing it out in the planner, writing each day your top 3 things, your key behavior, reinforcing your morning and evening, framing your day, putting a word to the morning and evening, your gratitude, 6 most important things at the end of each week. As I said earlier, there's a 2-page spread, the space between 7 days. This not only includes action steps for growing your business or your side hustle or some other goal that you may have, but also building in self-care, social media timeouts, vitamin D breaks each day, setting a clear intent after reflecting this past week. It's the heart of personal, spiritual, and emotional growth. The benefit of working the method over just writing in appointment time slots is vast. Through the process, you start to sort out all of the rogue thoughts, the ruminations, the obsessive thinking, the negative mental conversations. This method supports neurogenesis, which is nerve cell birth, so that you can learn something new and apply that gift to each and every day. That's why it's not an app. That's why it's not a download to get blended in with God knows what else checklists and distraction. That's why writing all the work out every single 90 days afresh, reviewing it 52 times a year, this method of personal habit formation, it sets it apart from other planners. I want my prayer journal to be my journal. I want my goal setting work to be a place for me to unload my brain and gain clarity. I want my planner to integrate with each and every day to keep me focused on who I say I want to become, what I say I want to accomplish, and I stand in hope and integrity and move forward motion that growth is inevitable with this level of attention, brain cohesiveness, and perseverance. Oh yes, my friend, there is hope for you. If you genuinely care about the goal, you will focus on the system. Author James Clear. Setting your intention is the route of success. Do you have to do it, get to do it, or want to do it? A strong desire guided by ownership in your intention, coupled with a method and process for tracking, will get you started and advancing powerfully. Next steps. Most years I'll go through the 90-day planner and I'll explain the whole thing, but this last year I recorded I did a video recording. It's on my site. It's called The Method. You can go to PamelaShaw.pink, click on Learn. There's a free video. It walks you through the planner. Repetition of this method increases belief because with every repeat, you will experience progress in the direction of your spoken, written, and affirmed goals. Success comes when commitment meets belief. Commitment meets belief. Belief grows when you learn you can count on yourself to do the work. When you tell yourself no, when you set boundaries, when you say yes. Commitment is the work. Belief is the result of increased hope and seeing advancements towards the outcome you've stated in the form of goals. So I don't want to skate over the word work. Making change of any significance will feel awkward. Therefore, because to repeat, you have not resided in this new place before. When you make your talking points about doing the work of growth, but there's no outer manifestation of growth, be careful not to let your words precede the honest work. When you're growing, there's a manifestation of it. You don't have to tell people, I'm growing, I'm doing the work. They'll see it. I built one of my favorite talks ever, Get It in the Whisper. It means what it says. It's very likely you already know where to put intention and habit formation. It's likely you've dodged it for some time, tiptoed in and out, reverted back to your default to resume into comfort, your lack of belief, or making that change is going to be a difference. So what's missing? Honesty, definition, clarity, courage, time over time, accountability. It's that simple. Don't make it harder or more philosophical or more excuse driven. We're all some kind of version of wounded children. You're not alone. We all are. Let's deal, heal, and grow. There's power in simplicity. Complexity is the enemy of all progress. Don't overthink this and don't overcomplicate this. Schedule a half day in physical space where your creativity, concentration, and focus is at an all-time high, where distraction is low. Work on the alignment of the answers to this content in your current life. How can you bring greater alignment to what is and what will be? Only you can make space for that tweak. Only you can go the distance and grab the benefit of time over time. Only you can track what matters, and it's not lists of to-do. It's habit formation with decided key behaviors that will produce a person who can produce an outcome. For your next steps, action is required. In the front of the 90-day planner, in the front of the prayer journal, in the front of the breakthrough goal setting book, there are guided questions. You can just start in one tool or you can start at your choice because the method doesn't support goal setting, breakdown, and growth tracking and accountability. You will repeat history if you don't do the method. For consideration and then clarity, here are 4 final thoughts with steps to take. I promise you, I'm so almost done. I really am. These are and they all start with A. This is your action of next step. Number 1, adjust the many to get to the one. What 3 to 12 goals over the next year would bring you to the satisfaction in 1 to 3 areas of your life that you want to enhance or elevate? Simplicity is key. Fewer is better, and fewer will be more aligned if you're a new goal setter. And if you've been goal setting for 3 decades, but you haven't accomplished a specific goal, you're now new. What's your one thing? Journal it out, put it in goal format. If in the 90-day planner, the goal categories, pick 1 to 3, then 6 years and 6 months to a year, and then daily, and then benchmark you. It'll guide you through it. It's self-guided. You'll be tempted to set goals and more, but prioritize down to the one. Number 2, advertise it to yourself visually. Get a vision board. Seeing reinforcement. My vision board is right here. You just gotta Put it in visual. Many of us are visual creatures. Advertise it to yourself on a vision board. See the reinforcement. Take the time to add images to a poster or some sort. Let the images match your words. I could take you through 3 decades of my own journey with examples to validate the importance of adding the visual dimension. Key is your commitment to a result. Don't put it on there if you're not committed to the result, if you're not committed to seeing it through. If it's only a wish, a poster won't bring it to you. If there's a specific commitment where you're adding the other components, this is a compliment. Number 3, affirm. Affirm it in new statements. Make the affirmations to support the process of changing your thinking. It takes 21 days to build a long-term memory and redesign neural pathways, and another 42 days to give these new thought networks sufficient energy to become a habit that will impact your behavior. Most people give up 4 to 5 days in without any observable change, but it's going to take 63 to 84 days. As you repeat the new thought and pattern, the structure will strengthen, transforming you for the better in alignment with what you say you want. Writing affirmations to support. Go to the trouble. In this step, become aware you have a program running in your brain. Oh, yes, you do. It's very familiar. You have to pay attention and acknowledge this. Stop the program from running. Start a new program that runs. Work and time over time. Process of accumulation. This will work. Your brain is neuroplastic. You can override the old with the new. Yes, it's work. You feel like, ugh, no. Consider the cost of remaining the same and get excited about that future vision that you can create. Then number 4, acknowledge. The hardest acknowledgement first. What have you been ignoring, hiding from, partial truth telling, blaming, procrastinating, justifying, repeating? You just go back and do it again, even if you're not getting a result. If you're unwilling to own this, you're not ready for growth. How many Mondays in 2020 did you say, well, tomorrow, well, next week, well, next month, well, after COVID, when things get normal? What's the one thing you need to problem solve now? A month from now, you can either have a month of progress or another month of excuses, old stories, blaming, shaming, and hiding. What will you be giving up? Your plate has been full, each day full to the brim. That's where people simply won't make the sacrifice or go the distance. They're willing to take the time to write it out and break it down and even build a poster. But when it comes down to prioritizing without procrastination, many simply cannot and will not do it. Any excuse becomes welcome. Anything from saying yes to someone else's request to a self-imposed distraction or time taker. They think that they're the only solution to other people's needs. And so they take on things that turns into a hand to the face of somebody who could otherwise have guided them to the place that they want to go. So I'm just going to encourage you to recognize that your yes and no matters here. To create something new, something familiar has to go for a window of time and for long enough to get that job done. If you know you can count on yourself to do this, this is where and how you are working will benefit those you love. It's got to be a large part of your belief system and value. So what goes in order to make room for this to work, this focus, this result? Who needs to be notified? Who needs to be hired? What no longer fits into your schedule? When will you notify, hire, delete? Do you need a space to call office without distraction of other people or animals in your home? I've seen people literally set themselves up for failure. Get out the calendar, create the deadlines, put on pause tasks or projects that are not relevant now to this season. This is purposeful procrastination. It's a good thing. The ability to say no to a needed but not urgent or important task. The list will be there for you when they are important and when they are urgent. So, my friend, enough procrastination is the equivalent of not doing it. Okay, there they are, tying a bow around 2020 with these 7 steps to goal setting in 2021. Vision for the year ahead, alignment on clear thinking, clear goals, and elevated thinking. Affirmations to support both. An environment to support growth, reasons we fail, a tool to track, and your next steps. I pray you've heard something that you can integrate and apply to go the next chapter of your story successfully. We learned in 2020 that much is beyond our control, but so much is within our decision space and control. We learned that we're strong in the storm, we're resilient, we need each other. We learned we're more creative than we could have imagined. And because of this, we will not return to old ways of doing some things. Creative you. We've learned that there's always a plan B, C, D, Z when challenged by the uncontrollable, the unforeseen. We need a personal focus reset, one that takes into account an unknown future. It always was. An unknown timeline. It always was. In some ways, acknowledging the unknown made it harder in the beginning, but I believe more powerful once we faced it. There is one way to a new you, and that is through the current you. Not around, not over, not under, through. Waiting for an unknown yet desirable future to come to you will render you someone who's naively waiting for something that will never manifest. Your unknown desirable future, it's out there. It wants to come to you, but it will wait for you to become the person who can handle it, manage it, and be a great steward of it. You have to become the person that vision can show up for, one day at a time, every 90-day cycle, progress over perfection, honesty over filtered, connected over isolated, purposeful over approval, intentional over random and haphazard. The difference between reactive existing and proactive participation is intentionality. Intentionality is a growth catalyst. Without it, you default to old patterns that are most likely habitual and unintentional, migrating to them. There's a preferred way to live. Will you say yes to 2021, no matter what? Will you say yes to designing your life and living your vision? Will you ask the questions of yourself, expect God winks of direction, and God whispers to move? Shauna Nyquist says, it's rebellious in a way to choose joy, to dance, to love your life. It's much easier and much more common to be miserable. We could just live our normal day-to-day lives, saving all the good, living up for someday. But I think it's our job to live each day like it's a special occasion because we've been given a gift. So I wish you love. I wish you peace of heart and mind, clarity, purpose, joy, health, and wealth. I wish you his great blessing. God bless you. Godspeed, and keep shining brightly. Let me know what you heard. Let me know what you learned. Tag me as you go along this journey and let me be a part of it with you. We're just going to keep moving on this pathway, supporting each other and lifting each other up. Good night.